Libraries have had a pretty long history advocating for privacy. It's been in the American Library Association's core values since like 1939. So we've had this theoretical and ethical, value statement that has identified that privacy is really important to the work that we do, because we recognize that it has a really strong relationship to intellectual freedom, that if you don't have privacy, you can't read, write, and research freely. Today, I think the profession has not only continued this historical advocacy around privacy, but taken it into more actionable, practical, grassroots and community level work in the wake of Snowden. So, it's fit in with our history of activism, and now something really special and different has happened where we've turned it into something that really addresses the material effects of surveillance on the people that we serve. So part of the reason why I started the Library Freedom Project is because I recognize that surveillance is not evenly distributed. We're all caught up in the dragnet, but there are definite relationships to race and socioeconomic status, and the amount of surveillance that people are under, not just presently, but historically. Black communities, for example, have been heavily surveilled by the police through, the better part of the last century. And people who depend on social services, people who have been incarcerated, people who have been homeless, these are all people who are subject to surveillance in a much different way. And, though I mostly focus on digital surveillance in the form that it takes on the computer or on someone's phone, I am interested in the contours of it, the sort of greater community effect of how it specifically targets marginalized people. The mission of the Library Freedom Project is to make real the promise of intellectual freedom in libraries. I work very closely with the ACLU, particularly the ACLU of Massachusetts. My main partner there is Cade Crockford, who is an activist and researcher, does a number of things with the ACLU, but is working in the anti-surveillance arena for a long time. And we teach, and we also work with ACLU attorneys in Massachusetts, particularly Jesse Rossman, who is an amazing surveillance law expert. And we teach librarians about the threat of surveillance, sort of threat modeling, what the major programs and authorizations are, how this fits into corporate business models of data collection and advertising, and about how there's an entire industry devoted to hacking. That's sort of a less political sphere of it, but it certainly is a consumer privacy issue because nobody is helping these people protect themselves. So we outline the threat, and then we talk about our privacy rights, local legislation in particular, try to tailor it to that library, whatever state they're in, and what to do if the librarian receives like a national security letter or something like that. And the last part, the biggest part, which is the one that I focus on most closely, is introducing technology for liberation into libraries. So either to install it on their public computers, or teach it in their computer classes, or use it on their web servers, or incorporate it into their system in some way. The idea is that we have a relationship to our local communities in a way that no one else does. We already teach computer classes, we provide public internet access at a level that it doesn't exist anywhere. So we can really be the ones to introduce things like Tor browser and Tails and other free and open source software options, alternatives I should say. We should be encrypting our websites. There are a number of different things that we should do. One of the most important things for those of us who are working to fight surveillance, we have to recognize that it's part of a much bigger system of injustice, and even if we focus our work on this one very important component of it, we have to be in solidarity with people who are working to fight this kind of injustice everywhere.